How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about a new Christmas movie. This is Spirited from 2022, an Apple TV Plus original movie. This is directed by Sean Anders and stars Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds, and Octavia Spencer, and is a sequel to A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And it's also worth noting that this is a musical, which, I really don't mind, especially for Christmas movies. Songs kind of become a thing, and there's some good songs in here, too. I really think the song Good Afternoon is a fun comedic classic song, and will definitely get stuck in your head. So I'm not the biggest musical guy, but I really did like the songs in this movie, and I can be more lenient to musicals when they're Christmas movies. It just feels like in the spirit. But that being said, it was actually kind of surprising, because I talked to quite a few people about this movie, and a lot of people just backed out as soon as they saw it was a musical, which I think kind of sucks. I get some people, it's really not their thing, but even if it's not, I would encourage you to try it, because I do think it is worth it. But man, yeah, more people than I thought, they just saw it was a musical, turned it off right there, and I'm like, come on, guys. But I get it, to each their own, whatnot. But anyway, this movie, I saw it was coming out. I saw the trailer, and I'm like, okay, it's a streaming movie, something, Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds, and I thought, okay, I don't know, I wasn't super excited for it, and primarily because of another Ryan Reynolds movie, I think it was Red Notice, and you see these movies all the time where they don't have much going on, but they just jam a bunch of A-list stars, star stuffer movies, And I was thinking that would be what it was. I was thinking it's a low-effort streaming movie. I wasn't too excited, but I did watch it, and I have to say, relatively quickly into the movie, I was like, oh, this is not low effort. This is actually something that people put a ton of effort into, and it's actually really, really well done and clever. So this was definitely a big surprise for me. I expected very little and got quite a bit. First off, with it being a musical, the song numbers are big and extravagant, lots of dancers, and impressive choreography, but the song lyrics are also quite catchy, and there's tons of jokes in the songs themselves, and they'll get a good laugh at you, So yeah, the songs are really good and, again, impressive and big, which is, especially, one where they all have to do tap, and it's like, oh wow, that's choreography there, But also the jokes are funny and the story is thoughtful, but doesn't venture into the dreaded realm of dramedy. Thank goodness. The story does have some depth to it, and it really is a character study, both with Will Ferrell and with Ryan Reynolds, a dual character study. Both characters have a journey, and both characters have a bunch of plot and characterization behind them, and we can see that it's not just the ghost working on the new Scrooge, it's him pointing out what Will Ferrell's doing right now and analyzing him right back. And it really is interesting. And the story, it is a sequel to Dickens' work. It's saying the ghosts do this every year to some new guy. And they really strike a fine balance of analyzing and sort of reinterpreting Dickens' work and saying, what does it mean to us today? And asking questions like, how hard is it for someone to really change? And can someone even really maintain a permanent change? Or are they stuck being the jerk that they always were? And it analyzes this with a surprising level of depth. And whenever they turn the Dickens element on its head and sort of change something up, it never felt disrespectful, and instead it felt like a further analysis of his work, and I thought that was pretty cool. The movie's actually written intelligently, which is very, very rare these days, and when they touched on themes like modern technology, they still don't mess it up, which, boy, so many times when they try to talk about current issues in new movies, they fail so often in other movies. But in this movie, they talk about things like manufactured online rage and the dangerous results of cyberbullying. Like, these themes could be handled very bad by, like, other movies. But to see a movie talk intelligently about the dangers of stuff like that, I'm like, wow, that actually is really thoughtful, you know, and actually goes pretty dark sometimes, but then again, the original Christmas Carol did as well. Now that being said, there's a lot going on in this movie, a lot of songs, a dual character analysis, and several plots, and in turn, it is a pretty long movie. I think it's over 2 hours, but a lot of what I saw I really liked, and I didn't really want any of it cut, and it's just something I'm A-okay with sitting back and enjoying the ride for, even if it is a longer ride. You know, I thought it was really good. And to be honest, I was with my family, and my dad threw it on thinking, funny Will Ferrell movie, but who really cares? We didn't think it would be great. But then when we saw it was, we put it on again to show my mom, so we wound up watching it twice, and then I did come in and they were watching it again, you know? I think they just wanted to watch the Good Afternoon song and wound up watching the rest of the movie, you know? So, yeah, it's very rewatchable, and I think we'll probably end up watching it several times throughout upcoming Christmases. Probably gonna add this into the mix. It's a good one, you know? So, yeah. That being said, let's talk a little bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to analyze the movie a little bit and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this is about. We open up with the ghost. They're up to their old shenanigans, and they've just turned someone's life around, and they're going to be a better person. Now, this person is literally named Karen, and they show her stop terrorizing her neighbors. Yeah, a literal Karen is a little bit on the nose, and strangely enough, some of the jokes in like the first 10 minutes don't quite work and had me worried for the rest of the movie, but the rest does work, which really makes me think that the first 10 minutes the network goes, throw in pop culture humor, get the modern audience hooked. So some of the jokes early on don't work, but don't worry, it does get better pretty quick. But anyway, we're introduced to this world. The Ghost and Marley, plus their whole team. You see, they got this operation, and they do this every year. Apparently, every year, the Christmas ghost picks someone to haunt and try to turn their life around and make them into a better person. And they do things like the whole year studying someone's life, finding the points in which they can change, and recreating them in painstaking detail, like a play or a movie. It's very, you know, they kind of do Hollywood, where they set up an elaborate set, and they're like, this looks just like from when he lived this memory in the past, you know? So that's a pretty cool, the Hollywood version of this is not just magic. They have to set it up and cue it up and stuff. But we get this plot with Will Ferrell, and he's the ghost of Christmas Present, and he's been eligible to retire for some time. So he was a human, he died, he came here, and if you work here long enough, you get to retire and literally pop back into existence as you are down on Earth. Which, okay, yeah, that's a little weird, whatever. But he's been eligible to retire, but he hasn't, because he wants to do the work. He thinks he's good at his job, and he wants to try to change the world, and he can't just abandon this. So yeah, the Ghost of Christmas Present actually has a ton of character, and you have to ask yourself, why is he so afraid to leave? I did not expect this much character from the ghost, and you really do get that. But anyway, right after Christmas, they begin their work for next year, and Marley shows them a guy that's supposed to be their new target. He's a jerky hotel manager, but Will Ferrell goes, will changing this guy really change the world? And then he sees someone in the hotel's conference hall, Ryan Reynolds' character. And Ryan Reynolds is a PR guy that manufactures outrage. He says, hey, his clients, they sell real Christmas trees. And he goes, yeah, you can market your real Christmas tree, but you have to have outrage. And he does this whole big fun song about outrage and saying, hey, you sell real Christmas trees, you have to tell people if they buy a fake tree, they don't care about the spirit of Christmas. They're practically killing Christmas with their fake trees. Do they not like tradition? And he's saying, start a war between the two Christmas trees just to drum up sales. Yeah, you really see that. And, you know, they do other things too. Like there's a scene where he's walking and he's talking about schedule an apology for this guy, but do it closer to the awards season so it has more weight on social media. Or there's even a scene later where it's about his niece, and she's running for student council, and he says, dig up dirt on the other guy and smear him. And it's like another high schooler, you know, so a young kid, maybe even middle schooler, this young kid dig up political dirt and bury him, and it's like, whoa, that's way too hard. And Octavia Spencer's character is Ryan Reynolds' assistant, and she knows she's going too far and wants to stop, and you see the Ghost of Christmas Present start to emphasize with her and say, yeah, I think you can change too, and all of a sudden a love story comes about, but despite it being a love story between a ghost and a living human, you somehow still buy it, and it really does have weight behind it. So it does kind of feel at first like a semi-random plot point, but then at the end you really see, you know, the weight of both their characters on this story, and yeah, you do somehow strangely buy this weird romance. But anyway, Will Ferrell will insist on picking this person, Ryan Reynolds, as the person they're trying to change this year, and he has to really talk Marley into it. He has to say, look, I know the odds of this person changing are slim, but I could actually make a real difference in the world, and that's where they find out his file's labeled irredeemable. They don't think it's physically possible for him to change, so there is odds there. There is a bit of tension. They go the whole year prepping, and when they finally start to do the Christmas Carol thing, it's harder. Ryan Reynolds is much less phased than you think, and he starts to question things, and he starts to turn the situation on his head and point it back at Ferrell, and yeah, it's much harder to change this guy than you think it would be. It's a big challenge, and Ryan Reynolds will cleverly deconstruct Ferrell, and you know, it really is well written, and the themes of can someone really change, and you know how hard it can be for someone to change, really front and center, and work really well here. Also, because Christmas Carol is a plot, is a structure we know, you do get a lot of this movie where they can take liberties with that plot structure because everyone already knows it. For example, Will Ferrell is the Ghost of Christmas Present, yet he's in most of this movie, so you know that the plot structure is going to get messed up. He's going to have to step in where he's not supposed to. You get other scenes where, like, Ryan Reynolds is resisting and he runs away and goes through a door and wanders onto a different part of the set than he's supposed to. And in turn, you get parts of the story told in the wrong order, or, you know, even parts where they say, hey, let's try this unorthodoxly, let's go to some other place, let's try to convince them with alternative methods. And it also has one part where they do a fun flashback to the original Christmas Carol, and it is really fun to all of a sudden be in the 1800s, and that does lead to the classic Good Afternoon song, which is absolutely hilarious. But yeah, and that's the thing with this movie. It was way better than I thought. You know, it's not just star power. Again, big songs, very catchy, and a really well-written message, a better character analysis than you think. The way they'll play against the source material, the way the characters will play against each other. Overall, way more effort than I thought would be. I thought streaming service, Christmas movie, star-stuffed, whatever. But they actually took the time, and I think Apple knew this. They said, hey, we could have on our streaming service a movie people actually want to watch Christmas after Christmas. If we put in the effort, we can make a good movie. And they did. So overall, definitely recommend it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I know it's a musical, but still, give it a chance and give it a little more than 10 minutes, because like I said, some of the early jokes are a little cringy, but once this gets going, it is a lot better than I thought it'd be. And I definitely would recommend it. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Christmas playlist. If you guys want to see me talk about other Christmas movies, you should find them there. I talked about some other modern ones as well. Violent Night I talked about recently, and Christmas Bloody Christmas. Yeah, maybe those aren't so wholesome, but I have talked about a lot of new ones this year. For whatever reason, a fair bit of Christmas stuff this year. And that's fun. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Christmas playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.